podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Trevor Scott, and with me as always is Ben Slinger.
Hello, I am here.
Hello, after a false start, we are here.
Yes. Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties.
But we're here now, so what are we doing?
A ramped up click pitch, which is a game where we each have a random phrase generator, which has an adjective and a noun. We could go more if we really wanted to, but no, we're limiting it to 2 at the moment.
4 words each.
One day we will mega ramp it and see what happens. Maybe that's our episode 400 idea. We mega ramp it.
Mega ramp.
Mega ramp.
Fly over Springfield Gorge.
I'm thinking when we get to 390, we'll do a couple at 3 words.
Yeah. And to get that nice smooth ramping up to the final trajectory, for sure.
Yeah. Got to add a verb in there. Maybe we can add a transitive and an intransitive verb or an adverb or something like that, you know.
Sure. What do we do with these words, Trevor?
Some sort of fun. We smash them together. We come up with some game ideas. They don't have to necessarily match the words that we've got. They're just jumping off points. Yeah. That's all they're there for. Inspiration. Let's
do it.
In fact, Ben, you get one dice of inspiration.
Oh, perfect.
Would you like to roll it?
3, 2, 1, roll.
3, 2, 1, roll.
Downiest hydraulics.
Precipitate thatching.
Oh, okay.
So thatching kind of says old school hut.
Yeah.
To me, like, or you know, medieval sort of hut. But then hydraulics, that's...
Now, downiest, I'm thinking of like feathers, like down.
Yeah, feathers.
So is this some sort of, like, do you have some sort of robotic fowl of some sort?
Either robotic fowl or I'm thinking, you know, sort of medieval robot.
Oh, okay.
So it's all kind of, well, I've been, you know, preparing myself for seeing Wicked again. And I'm sort of thinking Tin Man, you know, that sort of thing, because, you know, that definitely has that feel of, you know, medievally.
Could this be a situation where you find yourself as a time traveler back in medieval times, trying to use your knowledge of engineering
with the technology of the day?
Exactly. So, like, hydraulics is like that's the highest tech you can figure out, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I could figure out hydraulics properly, at least not controlling them in any way. You know, if I was back in medieval times, I could maybe forge some metal of some sort with a lot of trial and error, but you know.
I'm literally thinking that this guy just got lost in a medieval times and ended up back in time.
Oh yeah, totally.
For those Australian audiences, watch The Cable Guy. Watch that movie.
Oh, is that what? Yeah.
And there's a restaurant called Medieval Times, and it is actually a real thing. And Ben has been.
I have been. Yeah, I went in Toronto. A lot of fun. Yep. Great show that they put on. Particularly the horses. If you ask my wife, who used to do dressage, and but
yes, so like if ever you see Ben's wife, ask her.
Ask her about medieval times and the horses.
And the horses and the dressage and how good it is. Okay. So I think precipitate is basically where you get the majority of your water from, because, you know, you got to wait till it's raining and you got to capture the water. And
yeah. And I think it's also about, you know, building things to protect from the elements, right? So,
yeah, and I think that's where the downiness can come in from. It's like that's protecting this exoskeleton. You know, you're putting like
for sure. Yeah. Well, I
mean, and pillows
I feel
sort
like
of stuff on the outside.
You've got thatched roofs. You've got downy surfaces. You can mix and match. You can build what you need to build. You know, thatching is just a good way to use the materials you've got to build sort of a harder structure or whatever, but the down, the water runs off, right? It's hydrophobic.
It runs off like water off a duck's back.
Yeah, funny that.
Yeah. Like water off a robot hydraulically powered spack.
There was
covered
did
in
you ever? There was a joke I never used to get because I didn't understand what down was. Where it was like, how do you get down off an elephant? It's like you get down off a duck. And I was like, as a kid, I was just like, what? Because I just took it at face value.
Yeah. Which is great. Well, funny thing is I couldn't actually hear it, but I probably will be able to hear it in the edit. So thanks for that, Ben, for turning it off now.
More technical difficulties. Yeah.
Sorry for the first 5 minutes of this episode.
If it's a bit noisy.
Ben had his air conditioning on, and he was very noisy. Like
Look, it
usual.
was a 36-degree day today, so it gets warm up here.
Be worse if it was 37.
37.
So I love this idea of, coming up with these different technological breakthroughs that you're sort of selling, but for some reason my mind has taken it very pervertedly.
Okay.
And you're basically, who doesn't want to lay in the hay and, just thinking about, the hydraulic sex machines and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't go in that direction. The hydraulics I was thinking of were about like these, they're almost like those, like the Baba Yaga house. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Which I think has like chicken legs, but these is just like big hydraulic legs, and these things can move. So maybe they're just brothels that move around to where the customers are.
So when you said Baba Yaga, where did your mind go? As in,
there was definitely a little hint of John Wick in there. Is that? I don't know if that's.
No. So my head went to the original name of this game was So You Want to Be a Hero.
Okay. Yep. Hero Quest. Yep. I do recall it in that as well.
Also known as Quest for Glory 1, because Baba Yaga has a house in that you have to bring down. And that's exactly where my mind went to. I'm like, yep, I remember walking into that screen, and so my mind instantly said Hero Quest. Where did your mind instantly go when you said Baba Yaga?
Well, like I said, John Wick is known as Baba Yaga.
But he doesn't have a house with chicken legs.
Or does he? Ooh. Have you seen John Wick 5? Because I haven't. I know it's got to be coming.
I haven't even seen 4.
No, I haven't either.
Seen 3, and 3 was really good. This is not video games, so let's move on. 3, 2, 1, click. Powdery insolence.
Remotest escalator.
What complexity have you got yours on,
Average.
Benjamin?
Average?
Because you're getting some weird words.
I think...
Remotest.
But
it's just a little bit
It's a weird word. So, one of yours was dusty?
No, powdery.
Powdery. Oh, yeah, okay. Powdery makes me think
my
more
mind
like
has immediately
snow.
gone to cocaine.
Oh, okay.
Remotest.
I was just trying to think where a remote escalator would be. Like you come across an escalator up like Mount Everest or something,
Ooh, you kind of got lost wherever it is in the woods or something like that, and you come across an escalator that is just currently running.
Is it going up or down?
It's going up.
Like into the clouds, essentially, like out of sight.
And as you go up, and that's all good, you get to the end of the game, and it goes around the other side of the mountain, and there's one going down on the other side.
So wait, is the whole game you're on this escalator?
No, I think you go for an adventure up in the clouds and all this sort of stuff.
I think it could be an interesting challenge to come up with some sort of gameplay that has to entirely take place on this massively long escalator, though.
Yeah.
Is that like a literal on rails shooter of some sort?
You start out like taking out vultures and stuff that are circling around you, and they're trying to peck your eyes out and all this sort of stuff. And as you go up, you're coming up against angels and then aliens and
I feel like that could be a good arcadey VR shooter.
Yeah,
where you're just constantly moving up this escalator. The landscape around you is sort of disappearing below. You start to see the curvature of the earth. You're going through clouds. Maybe there are landings. Maybe the first one is on the peak of a mountain and you meet someone there and there's a little bit of exposition and comedy and a shop.
There's a little shop.
You've got your upgrades and stuff. And then it goes up the other way. And now you're going up further and the next one's on a cloud and, there's an angel there who sells you something. And you keep going.
And the next one's on a space station.
Yep, there you go. Got the same thing in mind. Yeah, I feel like that could be...
Actually, you know what? The next one is actually a satellite. And then it's a space station.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a whole lot of nothing. And then you get to the moon.
Yeah, it's astronomically accurate.
It's a lot of nothing.
It's about a week of nothing.
And then after that, there's a whole lot more nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You hit asteroids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But if going up takes you away, means that in the second game when you're going down, eventually you do hit the sun. It's just a long, long time. You got to go through the earth and come out the other side, and then you're heading towards the sun.
Well, that's it. The sequel is actually it's going down into the earth. Then it's an escalator that's digging through the earth, and you find yourself down in a mine, and then even further, under the ocean, the Marianas Trench. Keep going to the core of the planet.
And you're wondering the whole time how you're breathing and how you're living. And it's because on this escalator, as the first shop assistant will tell you, once you're on this, you've got to get to the end before you can go down.
Yeah, you can't. It's forbidden to walk back, walk down the escalator. You just can't go fast enough.
You can't go fast enough. The faster that you try to go down, the faster that it starts going up.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
And the people at the top are all like, "Oh, it's sped up. Someone down there must be trying to go backwards."
There's an invisible magical bubble of air, and you happen to be always satiated. You never think that you need to eat or drink.
Yeah, I think I actually quite like this idea. I feel like it could be quite a simple. From a simple premise, you could build some fun comedic world building in that way from the people you run into, but the main game loop is just literally a wave shooter, essentially.
Literally, the first shopkeeper, they refuse to go any higher because they're like, nah.
Yeah, it's too dangerous.
It's too dangerous. I've seen lots of people go up further. I've never seen them come back.
Do you know how many angels fall every day and attack everything on the way down? There are 7 million Satans down
there. So I just set up a shop here, and I actually then franchised it out. So the next landing, you'll find another shop as long as they made it.
Yeah. No one can send messages back because the other escalator that does go down is on the other side of the world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just way too far. In fact, I kind of love the idea that you see it. It's like it's on the cross, but it's like it's that landing over there, but we can't quite reach that landing.
You just see it in the distance, like just through the atmosphere. It's so far away. You just see this big long line of it coming down.
I just love the idea that maybe you make it to the space station. It's like, okay, and now you get across to the other side, and now you can
start coming down.
Back down.
Yeah, coming down is New Game Plus.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. I want to build that. That's one I would build.
Yeah, that's fun.
All right.
3, 2, 1, click. Oh, this one hurt when I read it. Jagged sinus.
Oh. That's bad. Okay.
Yep.
Impetuous melancholy. Okay, maybe I need to get a comment. All right. This goes a bit better. Jammed recorder.
Oh, I mean, it's a jagged recorder that got jammed up your nose into your sinus.
So I'm just picturing a character where it's not even related to the game. They just have a recorder jammed up one of their nostrils, And so it's just this constant like like just that horrible recorder sound that when you just play it without actually playing a note.
Yep. And
is this the villain? Maybe they're the villain.
So you can always tell when they're coming.
Oh yeah, we build it up into this like really tense thing when you hear that coming.
I mean, I the other day watched the movie Smile.
Oh yeah,
which feels very It Follows, but a lot darker in like, they go pretty deep into, people's depression and all this sort of stuff. I really, really enjoyed the film. It wasn't super gory, but it was, I don't know. It felt really cool, but just the idea of that foreboding, like, you never know what that creature is that's following you that makes that horrible sound. And just the idea that it's like the story of, it was this music teacher who, got tripped over by a kid and, landed on a recorder and ended up, piercing their brain. But
so they can't take it out.
They can't take it out.
The same.
They chase after kids and, they make them, they make them just like they are.
Honestly, like we've had so many like horror movie villains with different masks and different weapons and different things. Like it's hard to find new and interesting ones, but music teacher with a recorded is pretty fresh. It's
pretty fresh. Yeah. In fact, I think if there was Rotten Tomatoes for a game, this would be certified fresh.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. 100%.
Okay, how do we make a horror game? What sort of gameplay are we thinking here? How do we be tense?
It's very sound based.
Yeah,
Sound is everything in this game. One of the things that I've sort of noticed about like Helldivers, you can't really use audio as your only cue to, hear where people are. And it's made me think more about, okay, if you really focused in on
directional sound,
how good this could actually work. If you could literally pinpoint exactly where this person was coming from, like
so that you can is this so you can sneak around and hide from them?
I think it's set in a high school. Like you've been dared to sort of. Stay the whole night in a high school because, if you make it through all the way through the night, then, you're going to win some radio competition or something like that. But it turns out that this school is also home to the, previously mentioned music teacher.
Yeah. Mr.
Had the recorder.
Marley.
Okay. Bob Marley.
It's Bob Marley. I was thinking from Christmas Carol, actually. Like, that's where my mind went after I just randomly chose that name.
Just combine it with the Christmas Carol guy. It's Ebenezer Marley.
Sure. I can't remember who was Marley. What was Marley's first name? Jacob Marley. But
good old Jake Marley.
I like the idea that we bring in other things from like that Mr. Marley is not the only villain, not the only thing. No. I think like his presence there has essentially like started gathering all of the stressful, scary things that come from school, from being at school.
Yep.
And so you're hearing like bullying
swirlies.
You're
hearing wedgies. You're hearing
wet willies.
You're hearing recorders.
And then you hear the recorders. You're hearing dodgeballs.
Oh, you hear. I'm just imagining hearing like disembodied voices of, kids screaming and.
You're creeping down a dark hallway and a dodgeball just like flies out of nowhere and hits the lockers in front of you and you look around, there's no one there. Like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Totally. And then you start hearing the faint
you hear nothing but
whistling.
But like, I don't know. I love the idea of like that smoke alarm, low battery sound just every now and again.
Beep, beep. Yep.
I was like, oh, it's just.
I just
There's
I just
something
had an
about
image
that sound.
of, you finally come face to face with the Mr. Marley. He's got it's gruesome. He's got the recorder sticking out of his nose. He's breathing. It's this discordant sound with every note. But then he calls his minions, and I just had the picture of, how in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory when he plays on his little flute and calls the Oompa Loompas?
But it's just it's a recorder, so it's bad.
It sounds bad. He just plays fucking hot cross buns on it. All these bully minions come out of the darkness. It's a very wet sounding as well,
Oh,
mucus that's dripping out of the ends.
Mucus and blood there. Like there's
it's gross
stuff there that you wouldn't wish on anyone.
No.
End of the final fight, it gets broken off.
Oh, makes it even worse.
So it's higher pitched.
Yeah.
Like the noise is higher pitched. It's like, so bad. At least that's the way I think that it would go. It was a smaller one. It has to be higher pitched, wouldn't it?
I don't know how. Yeah, I think it more depends on. I don't know. Anyway, sure, whatever.
Yeah, fuck it.
Doesn't have to be physically accurate.
No, it doesn't have to be.
3, 2, 1, click.
3, 2, 1, click.
Acting, speeding,
livelier, burglar.
Oh,
they're livelier. Like they're the life of the party.
So I've just watched Barry.
Nice. Good show.
And in that he's a hired assassin who starts going to acting class, basically.
Oh, come on. You just ruined the whole show for everyone.
It's like that, basically the opening premise. Yeah. So I kind of like the idea of you juggling your, desire to be an actor against your day job, which is burglary of some sort. So, maybe a little bit less dark than Barry in this sense.
Yeah, but you keep on getting pulled into like the crew, to do one last job.
Oh yeah, totally. And so I'm picturing kind of two levels get like almost you've got your day ahead of you, and you have to decide, okay, well, I've got acting class here and here, but you're scheduling your burglary jobs at night. You've got to make sure you get enough sleep, and like it's almost a bit of a person simulator in that sense of just filling your day in the right way. But the jobs themselves are a game. You do the job, and then the acting class, maybe you have to make choices, or you've got some sort of games there to determine how your skills are building in that sense as well. And then you start getting auditions. You start,
But you find out that a couple of the people in your crew, you've previously burgled them.
In your acting crew?
In your acting crew.
Right.
Like, sorry, I should have actually said the acting crew. I was thinking it in my head. So they're your new friends, and it turns out that like they're really disappointed because they've just literally been hit, that previous night or whatever.
Well, I think it's one of those things where it gives you the opportunity to have those kind of dilemmas, because, you're in deep by that point with the burglary stuff. You can't just decide not to do a job because it means they're not going to give you as many jobs in future, and this is the main way you earn money. And B, like, they're dangerous people, and like, we'll start coming after you.
Yeah. In fact, like, I like the idea that, you go back and it's sort of like, the person who runs the burglary crew, you stole like some small little pittance from them years ago, and they've basically held it over you that, until you pay off that debt, you're mine. But it's like, the debt was paid off years ago. You literally just stole, bread or something for your family, but it's like, that was worth everything to us.
That's how they got
everything
you.
To me,
it's like some priceless. They say it was some priceless thing, and
it was just literally the postcard.
And so then I think the climax has to be you use your acting skills to somehow like get them put away or something so that you can get out of that situation. Bring your acting troupe, get them all involved.
Yeah, you've gone through the whole thing of, hey, look, yes, I burgled you. It wasn't my finest hour.
Wasn't personal either.
It wasn't personal.
I can give you some of the stuff back, but most of it's been sold. Sorry.
Yeah. That priceless artifact, that got sold. But these nice things that just meant something to you. Yeah, I also sold them.
But I got more for all of them, so it's all right. Maybe as you go later on, there does come a turning point where you admit to your acting friends, and then you can start taking jobs. You can steal stuff back for them. Like each of them has, if you decide to you want to build up your relationship more with Jenny. It's like, oh, what did I steal from her that was sentimental? Okay, I'm going to steal it back and return it to her.
It's very much like those Mass Effect missions that
exactly.
They had to do to build
companion missions, basically. Yeah,
companion missions. Yep. God, that second game was so fucking dark. The way that ended was just. For those who haven't played it, if you don't do any of the companion missions, it is not a good ending for that game.
Basically, yeah. I am almost picturing this now as a bit of an RPG-ish sort of thing. And those skills that you build up, you've essentially got two skill trees that you're building up simultaneously, your burglary skills and your acting skills. Depending on how well, you're doing each side of the game. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do one more.
One more little quickie.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on. These are all bad. Rotating signal.
Ooh. That'll go interesting with my Immovable Priestess.
Immovable Priestess. Okay. So, I mean, this feels like a puzzle game of some sort. Then maybe like I'm seeing sort of a what's that one? Shit, I don't know. Moving mirrors and lasers and that sort of thing. Because to me, the Immovable Priestess seems like a statue of some sort, or a
it's literally it's our statue to the Holy Priestess. You can't move that. You've got to get this light beam from here to there, and you cannot move that priestess.
That's it. I feel like maybe the priestess is the centerpiece of the whole world that you find yourself in, and all around it are the different areas that you end up. Like, I'm thinking a large statue,
Well, I'm thinking each room has like smaller statues.
Yeah.
But there's also
the one big large one, and you're essentially like,
and they're all immovable. You cannot touch them because if you touch them, that's the end. Like that's the end of life as we know it.
Right. So fail states in each of these rooms is the priestess gets moved. So there are ways that you can move it, but
it's instant death for the entire world. Like the entire world just literally gets imploded into itself because. Turns out that when we say don't move the priestess, there's a good fucking reason that you don't move the
How does everyone know not to?
How does everyone know not to? They just know.
Because clearly it hasn't happened before. Because the world has not imploded.
Or has it? It's happened multiple times before. It's just that every single time they happen to have one of those devices that you could click. And it goes back 13 seconds.
Right. Well, one of those. Okay. But you don't have
one of those.
But you don't have one of those.
Find
one.
I think you've got a worse one.
Oh.
It goes back to the start of the level, which happens to be always
Right. That makes sense. I mean, you could play with that. You could have some fun with that.
Yeah. It's recharging. It won't work until you...
Well, it starts charging at the start of the level, and depending on how much charge it's got is how far it can take you back. And it just happens to be that it charges 1 second per second for you to go back.
I love the idea. They actually say this charges 1 second per second, and if you move that priestess, we've got a fail safe.
Yeah.
We can actually hit the button and we'll get back
To the point of it starting to recharge. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very much like the last episode of Futurama, where, you're in this thing now, like
Which
you've already
last
started
episode?
the puzzle. So which last episode? The previous last episode that just got,
I don't think
fixed
I
up.
don't think I've caught up. I've not watched all the new Futuramas.
I've seen quite a few of them. They're pretty good. Pretty good.
I meant to start over and then never got through.
You just didn't. You just didn't. You just don't have any dedication to
Matt Groening and his
our listeners.
Yeah.
Oh,
they deserve.
They were expecting you to do the new Bitstorm side podcast, which is all about you watching through Futurama,
Futurama rewatch
and talking about each
podcast called
each
Futurama
episode.
Rama.
Yeah, and I mean, we promised them that in the missing episode.
Yeah. We promised a lot of things
118.
in that episode. Amazing episode 1. I'm pretty sure we've got an episode 118.
We do, but that's the one that that is the real lost episode.
Oh, really? Did we re-record it?
We re-recorded it.
See, how do you fucking remember that, Trevor?
Because that was
Pull
around
it
the
out
time
your
that the Platforms and Pitfalls
That's right.
crew came and did one, and we recorded it that same night, and we lost
that one.
We had to re-record the Platforms and Pitfalls,
That's right.
and we also had to re-record our episode that we did that time.
Yeah, good memory.
That's how I remember
Good
it.
memory. Well, on that,
that's the end of today's episode.
So thank you for joining us. If you want to find all of our previous episodes online, go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. They're all there.
And if you want to find the Futurama lost, the Futurama rewatch podcast that Ben was going to do, well, you can't.
No. I mean, unless you're listening to this in the future,
In the
5
future,
years
and he's
in
done
the
it
future,
finally,
and it's
but-
done. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, if you like the song that we play at the start and end of this podcast, that song is called Mount Defiance off the album Containment Failure by the band Kuradust. If you're looking for the song at the start of the Futurama podcast, that song is called Night of the Witch Grinder by Eldritch Rites.
You can find that at.
Check that out. You can find that out at eldritchrites.bandcamp.com.
There you go. Now we have to use. That is not going to suit a Futurama podcast. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
And actually, I'm going to play Hot Cross Buns on a recorder.
Oh, no.